And just, from the outside, it definitely seemed maybe a little bit quieter than what some expected. Just from your perspective, how did this deadline come together this year, maybe in a different way than years past?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, with the new wrinkle of the playoff roster calculations and things like that, you had to kind of run the scenarios from a bunch of different, viewpoints. And again, we have a great staff here with Kevin McDonald, Andrew Cogliano, Andrew Wilson, and Susan Borchard, who did a great job behind the scenes, helping Joe and myself. So I give them a lot of props, as we're on the phone with the different permutations, and they got to be sharp in so many different ways. So there's definitely different lenses this year, Jess, but we're pretty excited with the group that we've got to go to battle with here in the near future.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Next up, we'll go with Eric Dean from Colorado Hockey Now.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking the time to do this. Just wanted to ask about when it comes to kind of like the Nazem Kadri trade coming together. A couple parts to this. Number one, when was this something that you started to consider, and where does Nick Waugh play into all of this? Getting him yesterday, bringing in Naz today, and just kind of having this depth down the middle that you haven't had in the past.
Well, I think that's just it. I think Nick Waugh is a big right-handed centerman that can play wing. Bezzy can use him in a lot of different ways, and he's a big body. We're obviously very familiar with him, specifically from his days in Vegas when we butted heads with them. He gives the coaching staff a lot of different matchup scenarios that allows Bezzy to, whether it's to play Naz in the middle, Naz on the wing, Nick Waugh on the wing in the middle. And you just can't have enough centermen and defensemen as well. But we feel like the addition of the two guys is, we're very, very skilled in the middle of the ice, and they also can all check really well. So we think it makes us harder to play against in any type of game. So we're super excited to have both of them in the mix here today.
And just for the first part of the question, when did Kadri kind of enter your radar as someone that you were considering?
Well, I think we wanted, anytime, we made the trade, we added Brett Kulak. We knew the space we had. We knew, sort of, the names. We had a cluster of names that we wanted to attack. You never know which ones sort of are going to come into fruition, or if you're going to have a match. And obviously, when you do the work over the last number of weeks, you kind of get a feel, and it just kind of crystallized over with some good quality calls with Craig Conroy and the Calgary Flames staff.
Next up, we'll go with Pat Graham from the AP.
Hey, Chris. Thank you very much for taking the time. Just a quick question. I guess over the last 24 hours, how much tougher did the Central become, and how much did this deal need to be made given everyone else is making moves inside the Central?
Yeah, I think we're just kind of focused on the Colorado Avalanche. I think obviously there's great teams on both sides, on the East and West, and our division is obviously very, very strong. It goes beyond us, Minnesota and Dallas. Utah is a very good hockey team. Chicago's coming. St. Louis has been good for a very long time. So it's always been a tough division, and I think we're just focused primarily on the things we need. We can't worry about what those other teams are doing. They're going to do their business to try and improve their lot, and we have to do the same and balance that. Balancing those needs and finding the right fits isn't always easy, and we're excited about what Nick Blankenberg, Nick Waugh, and obviously Naz speaks for himself with his pedigree and what he's all about. So we think we're battle tested. We think our group up front can kind of, can kind of play any kind of game, but you got to get it done on the ice. So, but in short order, to answer your question, we were just kind of focused on what we were trying to do, and like I said, it doesn't. There were things we were hoping to do that didn't happen. So, it's always a kind of a puzzle piece, and those were the pieces that clicked.
Next up, we'll go with Rachel Toth from Altitude TV. Go ahead, Rachel.
Hi, C-Mac. Thanks for doing this for us. Wanted to ask, with the uniqueness around bringing back a player from that 22 Cup team, when we saw it with EJ last year, and the way that the team just gets very excited to have those guys back. I mean, what excites you? Oops, sorry, I think I muted myself by accident. Question is, what excites you the most about bringing back a guy that was a big part of winning the Stanley Cup in 2022?
Yeah, well, I'm certainly excited. I think our management team is excited, but I know our players are really, really excited. Naz is not only a good hockey player, he's a really good person that was in those battles, has the scar tissue, with our leadership group of players and coaches, and there's an intimate trust with that the moment is not too big. He's gone through it. He's been a good player in this league for a very, very long time, and when you factor all those things in and how excited Naz is, I spoke to him very briefly. It's he knows our guys and what they're about, and the same there. So I think it's that bond, right, that they have, for what they were able to accomplish during his time here. So it's an excited group, and I think that makes us excited as a management team, and hopefully our fans and organization in general.
We'll go with Megan Angley from Gorilla Sports.
Chris, how's it going?
Good, Megan. How are you?
Doing well. It's kind of a two-part question. I wanted to know, since there is an abundance in your forward core now, what the expectation is for some of those decisions that get made, but then specifically Gavin Brindley made eligible to play for the Eagles in the playoffs later this year. What is the future fit in the organization in the immediate for the rest of this season, but also where he's going to grow after this season?
Well, Gavin Brindley in particular, Megan?
Yeah, and also if you can speak to like Bardakov not being made eligible to play for the Eagles, for example, just kind of those looming roster decisions.
Yeah, I think the Bardakov's at an age where we're comfortable with where he's at. That if he's the extra forward, that's fine. He's obviously shown he can play center and wing. There's a heaviness to his game. We think he's grown over the year and gotten better as he adjusts to life in North America, the pace of the NHL, all that good stuff. Gavin Brindley has been a good player for us. And, we just wanted to preserve, the right that if there's a weekend that, he's, we due to the depth of the team and we're healthy, knock wood, we want to keep him playing. That's all. He's gonna help us down the stretch. There's nothing sort of like he's going down. I think he's in the lineup tonight. So, but his development is crucial, and he's not a guy that I'm going to want sitting for a long time. So that was the reason behind that. But it also doesn't mean that he has to go down either. Gavin brings great speed, great tenacity. And he's, obviously going to be a better player next year and 2 years and 3 years from now than he is today. But he's been a really important player, brings a lot of energy, a lot of nights, and but his development curve is different than, say, Bardakov, due to age, and that was the reasoning behind that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
For the next two, we'll go with Evan Rowell of the Gazette, and then Will Peterson from 104.3. Go ahead, Evan.
Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Good, Ev. How are you?
Good. Just looking at the numbers, if you guys are healthy, you guys are right up against that playoff cap. So, and it sounds like Calgary did retain. So I guess just from your perspective, I know you guys ran a bunch of different options. Would this deal have been possible without some retention on their side?
Retention was important. an important part of the equation for us for a variety of reasons. I mean, obviously it goes beyond what we were trying to do this year, but I just think with the number of years left on the term of the deal, that we were able to get it to a place that made sense for the return that Calgary got, which was a very good one for them and what they're trying to do, and the math for us was a comfortable number for what we're looking at over the next few years.
Go ahead, Will.
Hey Chris, a lot of people are already saying that this move is cup or bust or all in. Are those fair characterizations, bringing home Nazem Kadri, that it is Stanley Cup or bust and all in for the Avalanche this season?
I understand the rationale of that question. I do, but there's a lot of good hockey teams in the National Hockey League, and only one team is going to be happy at the end of it. Like last year, we sat here and did a very similar call, and I still think we had an excellent hockey team last year that could have done serious damage. But we understand this is that has to happen on the ice. You can talk about it, the deadline, who wins this, who wins that. None of it matters. It's what happens on the ice over the next month and into the playoffs. And we have a great coaching staff. We have elite players that are committed, and they do their thing year round. Like the playoffs is a different animal. The margins are so narrow. So yes, of course, we think we have a team that can do damage, but so many things have to go right, and that's we're trying to give our group, because they deserve it. If we can make them incrementally better on trade deadline day, that's the goal. But the cup or bust thing, if a team A makes it to the third round and they don't win, does that mean their coach is a bad coach? Of course not. But obviously we have high expectations, and we wanted to help the group.
We have time for about 3 more. We'll start with Troy Rennick of the Denver Post, and then follow that up with Jesse and Eric. Go ahead, Troy.
Chris, appreciate your time. How can Kadri perhaps help the power play? I know you're not the coach, but was that part of the equation in acquiring him? Because that's really been the only weird anomaly stat you guys have had all year.
Without a doubt. Naz can do a lot of things for us. Obviously, again, his track record, his what he's done in his career speaks for itself. He's been a good 5-on-5 player. He has that fire in the belly component that we've all seen. He lives for the big moments. But beside all that, there's a skilled hockey player in there, the guy that can make plays. How Bedsy and the coaching staff utilize him. He's had success as a bumper guy. In Calgary, he was used on that right hash, a lot. So I just think with the additions, all of them, if you just want to focus on the forward group, there's a lot of things that the coaches can mix and match on. Not only game to game, but in games, and Naz in the middle of the ice and his power play history. I certainly believe that he will get a good look to be a key component of our power play.
Yeah, we'll do the 2 more follow-up questions, starting with Jesse Montano of Gorilla Sports.
Chris, I know you don't like to get into specifics, so I won't press you too hard on it. But I mean, man, this one comes in at the 11th hour today. Technically after the deadline passed. Could you just provide any context, just kind of maybe how quickly this deal for Kadri came together here at the end of the day?
Yeah, I wouldn't characterize it as quickly. I think the dialogue with Calgary was super upfront, super the transparency with Craig Conroy's done a great job with Calgary, and he's a pleasure to deal with, to be honest. But these are not easy deals to do, right? Naz has been a really important player for Calgary and their organization, and they're at that cycle now where they're building, for the future. And Naz was a really important player for them and their fan base and their organization. So, they had to get what they felt was a good return, and we had to manage those expectations and the cap and roll and all that stuff. But I will say this: the talks were always clear and they were consistent, and that's ultimately how the deal got over the finish line today.
Thanks so much, Chris. Really appreciate you.
Yep, no worries.
Hey, Chris, and then I know this is likely more of a Jared Bednar question of when to play Nazem Kadri, but just for clarification purposes, I know Nick Waugh was coming from the Canadian team, is Canadian, he's playing today. For Naz, is it just as simple as meeting the team in Denver, can play Sunday, or is there any kind of visa stuff he has to go through?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's not my area of expertise. Aaron DeGraff does an amazing job for us, and I do believe, but please don't hold me to it, that the expectation is for Naz to be in Colorado tomorrow.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.